was trying to say before the sound didn't work. What we're going to focus on today is I'm going to cut a pixie cut. So if those of you guys want to hang out and watch, you can. This video is for tomorrow's vlog, so I'm going to re-edit the video, put it out in a little bit different way, but I figured, hey, we'll go live and see what you guys think. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching this. And you know what? If you don't want to watch a haircut, then I would shut it off now. But if you want to watch a haircut, totally cool. I enjoy having you guys here to watch. So this is going to be the main camera angle. I'm obviously filming this myself. So you're going to see the whole process here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by combing everything directly back. Work the hair back on the mannequin. And then I'm going to find that corner, that parietal ridge area on the head. So I'm going to work a parting back that way. I'm going to continue that into the back. I'm going to go directly across mid-crown in the back here. And then twist it around. Actually come all the way around here. And we'll work. So basically what we're doing is creating a rectangle on top of the head. So pretty simple. Then what I'll do is I'll check the balance of that, and if it's a little bit off, I will fix it, adjust it, twist it around here. There you can see pretty balanced. We'll lift it up just to make sure. All right. So basically all we're doing there is separating the top and the bottom. That's important later as we're working through and working with the different corners of the head. You want to make sure that you have that separated. Plus we're going to be cutting a nice short haircut. So because we're going to be working so short, you want to separate each section out. All right. So now the next parting that I'm going to take is right along the side. So we're going to go right at the division point here. Separating that corner. When I cut hair, I like to separate every single pretty much corner of the head. So right at the ear, this is a corner, here's a corner, and so on and so forth. So I'll separate that, and as I clip that away, then I know when I'm working on that section, there's not going to be too many corners in the head for me to have to deal with later. All right, then I'm going to do the next side. Same thing, right at the division point. Division point is what splits the head in half. So right as that curve starts to happen, that's where we divide the front and the back. I'm going to clip this side away as well. There we go. Now we're going to work into the back part of the head. Now this part, I want to keep everything nice and balanced. So what I'm going to do is take a vertical parting straight down center back, just like that. And there we go. Then what I'm going to do is just clip the one side away. A lot of you guys from Poland on here. Welcome. All right, so that is the sectioning. So parietal ridge, we took, created a rectangle. Then I went down, did the division line there, and then in the very back, vertical section straight down center back. And then now I'm going to start on this panel of the head, working my way up. what I want to do is I want to break that section up just a little bit. So I don't really want to focus this entire section as a whole. What I want to do is I want to work my way up till I get to the occipital bone, then I'm going to shift my technique to kind of reflect the head shape and how it's working through it. So we're going to start off working horizontally in the back. Scissor, we're going to use the Mizutani. This is the type K. There we go. So I'm going to start by working through the back here. Lift this up a bit. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to tilt the head forward just a little bit. That will help me with my sectioning and also a little bit of the elevation. The more you tilt the head forward though, the lower your elevation is going to be automatically. So you want to make sure you're not tilting the head too far. When I was first taught hair cutting, they always said tilt the head super far and it'll help with your perimeter line in the back. It really has nothing to do with the perimeter line, so I don't know why people say to tilt the head so far forward, because really that just drops your elevation. So if you're trying to cut a solid line, that's one thing, but if you're doing any type of layering or graduation, it's going to throw you off if you have the head tilted too far. So I tilt it just a little bit, and what that's going to do is just give me a little bit of push on the hair so I can keep it out of the way, and then I know exactly where I'm working, where I'm at with the rest of the head. So use this clip here. So my first parting is going to be horizontal and right across the back. I'll show you guys. I'll twist it for you. I'm just going to slide my clip under and away. That does not look horizontal whatsoever. Let's do that again. All right. There we go. Nailed it. All right. So that, a little more horizontal, diagonal forward a little bit, it looks like on the video, but I want to work straight across this way, so slight diagonal forward we'll go with. So now what I'm going to do is scoop up all this hair into my hand. I want to do a couple scoops up. I'm going to twist so you guys can see, because you can't see this. Couple scoops up with the hair just to get the bottom in. But what happens is if I scoop up the hair, as soon as I start doing that, what I'm doing is over directing this bottom part here. So I'm pulling that up. So what that's going to do is give me a fringy, broken look on the very bottom nape area, which is totally fine as long as you want that on purpose. So just know the more you lift this up into your hand, the more fringe feel you're going to get. I actually want to create that this time, so I'm going to give it a little higher elevation, right about the middle of the section there. So a couple combs up, last comb is down into the section, and we're going to cut that and we'll check our length in a second. There we go. Not really sure why the camera keeps going black a little bit. Sorry, guys. So elevation stays nice and high. I work my way through the back. So there it is. So now, watch what happens when I comb this out. Now I've pushed some extra length into the bottom. Now this is great for a lot of things. It's great for dry cutting later if I want to customize how I want the perimeter of the haircut to look, or it's just cool to have it the way it is with just a little bit longer kind of fringy feel to it. This is a pixie cut, but it's a modern version of a pixie cut. We're not going super short. We're going short and then a little disconnection on the top, but I want to have this kind of softer fringy area. I don't want to box it off or do anything like that in the back. So take down our next parting here. Still working horizontal. I think we're going to make horizontal the theme of the week. I'm putting out a video right after this class that I made yesterday. And that one is a horizontal bob. So lots of horizontal cuts happening. So I'm going to work my way up the head shape. Now what I'm doing is looking for my guide underneath, and I'm cutting there. So notice that I don't have as much in my hand now. This is a very small section, 1/2 inch at the most, because I don't want all that over direction. You know that in the bottom here, we got that over direction because I held the hair up and pinched that section together. Well, if you do that throughout the entire cut, what's going to happen is you're going to see that you lose your guideline because you start diffusing it by pulling it all together. So you really want to start working with smaller partings throughout the back because you want to keep a nice strong guide and the length's consistent in the back. So same thing here. So nice and short. Again, it's not super short. That's not the goal of this cut. Now, a thing to take into consideration at this point is the fact that the head shape is curving. So if you guys have followed any videos that I create, I talk about this all the time, but we're working now into this curve. So this curve starts to happen up. Now, if I kept my elevation here, what's going to happen is I'm just going to keep building up massive amounts of weight in the crown area, and it's going to sit lopsided. So what's going to happen as I go up the head, my elevation is going to get nice and high as I work through it, and then we won't have any problems. Let's see. All right. Raul, thank you. Appreciate it. I can see your guys' chat. The only challenge is it's hard to watch your chat and cut this at the same time. So I apologize if I don't see your question there. All right, same thing. Elevation, high, working around the crown, lift it up to check and make my cut. Now I want this to be 90 degrees out from the head shape. That's going to give me a seamless layered effect. And if I have those seamless layers, then I don't get the weight lines. So can't see that. Let's see. So now I'm going to work off the round of the head. So I'm going to shift just into this corner a bit. I don't want to over direct everything back, because if I start over directing it back, then I get really long on the sides here, and that's not what we're going for. All right, same thing. Sticking with the horizontal partings. Now I could shift vertical at this point. It really wouldn't be that big of a deal. The reason I'm not going to is because I like working myself, like pushing myself to try to think about cutting differently. So I'm going to work this whole section horizontal because it pushes me a little bit. There we go. All right. It's nice seeing you guys chatting with each other over there, though, that's for sure. All right, elevation high, still working horizontal, cutting blunt lines, working my way all the way around. Again, can't see it. All the way around the head. Couple more partings and we'll be good. So again, elevation goes up higher because of the fact that the head shape is changing. So we keep our elevation high. Up. And then the last one. Comb it over. And this one I will lower the elevation a bit because I want a little bit of weight right there. So I want the weight to kind of round off the crown. So we get a nice little seamless kind of feel to the layers. Now I'm going to work the same thing on the opposite side. Tilt the head forward again. I'm going to say Sun, I'm reading your comments. So Sunstar says, this is where it would get harder for a short person. So here's the thing. That's why the head tilts. So if you're shorter, then I would tilt the head back like this. Because as I'm holding the hair, then I don't have to stretch too far. If I'm taller, then it's fine to be like this because I can hold my arms up like that. So if you're shorter, it doesn't have to be harder. Just tilt the head back, and then it's in a better position for you to be comfortable. The misconception is that a head should be the way it is, and that's just the one rule that there is about cutting, and that's not really the truth. Hair cutting is all about you being comfortable in that current situation, because the more comfortable you are, the more consistent you will stay, and the more success you'll have with your cuts. So don't worry about tilting the head just the way you need it to have the most success. All right, same slight diagonal forward line. And then remember, we scoop it up to create our guide. Last comb is down. And I cut my line. When I drop it, then I get that fringier look to the hair, and I continue on. That's the only part that I take that wide of a section in there. Same thing here. Continuing through this side. So we'll grab a little bit of the old hair in there. And then now I'm combing everything down. Look for your guide underneath. If you don't see a guide, then don't cut. Working through. Your guide's going to be small in that very first section. That's because you've diffused it so much by pinching everything together, and now you're just trying to grab a little piece of it. So just make sure that you get a nice solid guide on that next cut, and then now I have the perfect guide to follow at this point. It's nice and thick. So 1/2 inch of hair, continue through. Now remember, elevation is straight out from the head. There's my guide. Make sure we can see. There's my guide. But then, when I get around the head, I'm actually following that curve because the head shape curves down, so I do the same. I still go straight out from the head, but I don't over direct it back, because if I did that, too much over direction, I'd have a really long length here on the sides. And it's already a little bit longer naturally because of the head shape, but for the most part, I do not want to push extra length into the side of the head. There we go. Cut into that. This is where that head shape's starting to curve up. So I want to make sure as I'm working through it, now the head starts to come back to me as I work. There we go. All right. A little bit of the old. Find your guide. Connecting it to the opposite side here. Coming around the head shape. Stole the clip from over here before. I'm going to put it back. All right. So my elevation starts to get higher as I go around the crown. And a couple more partings and we'll be good on this side. Last one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to blow this dry real quick. Not the whole thing, just the back. So I'm going to tilt the head forward. And I'm going to blow it dry just to get the hair going in the right direction. And then I'm going to do some detail work. And I'm really just working a flat wrap around the head. That's going to help lay the hair more curved around it. Work out any cowlicks back there. Now I'm going to work a little bit wider. This is a longer scissor, so this is the Blacksmith Fit 6.5. And I'm going to use a wider tooth comb. This is a 337 YS Park comb. Let's see. Clip that back up. So what I'm going to do is work scissor over comb up the back. Let me move the head here. what that scissor over comb is going to do is just kind of line everything up. So I'm not trying to cut any more length, but just some of the inconsistencies in the cut. I mean, it's going to happen. You're holding everything in your hand. You're pinching everything a little bit different in each section. So just going through, and this, let's just call it normalizing the section. So I'll work my way through the back that way. Same thing on this side. Just dusting the ends, evening it up. So you can see the perimeter isn't exactly flattering at this point, but that's because we over direct everything up and cut it. And then but what we're going to do is go in and customize that bottom now. So all right. Thank you guys. I see all your comments. I appreciate it. Glad you like the videos. All right. So here we go. Now I'm just going to detail. This is where I like to use the Type Z2. It's got a really fat tip on it. And what that's good for is power for cutting just anything dry. This isn't a dry cutting scissor, but it works really well to grip and cut hair using the tip. A lot of people, a lot of your scissors will have a hard time cutting dry hair, and it's most of the time just because it doesn't have all that power and metal behind it. Usually a scissor gets weaker towards the tip. So I'm just going to go in. I'm not trying to square this off or anything. I really just want to even it out, but leave kind of that natural length around the edges, kind of a fringier look. And once we get some wax in there, mannequins don't look the greatest with their short hair, but once we get some wax in there and stuff, you'll be able to really see it come to life. All right. So that's that part. Now what I'm going to do is let down the sides. And we're going to start working on the side. Cut. The sides we're not going to work horizontally. We're going to work vertically through it. Maybe even more a little diagonal forward, which might be nice. So I go back to my Type K, shorter precision scissor. Spin the head towards you guys. Thanks, Edna. Appreciate it. Any of you guys that are watching that haven't joined our FSE partner program, which we just announced yesterday, is completely free. You go to fseondemand.com when this is over and sign up. It's free. We put you on the hair salon locator so that we can promote you guys and your salons out there. So definitely go check it out. So diagonal forward parting is where we're going to start this. Switch my comb too. Diagonal forward. And I'm still going to be working with the round of the head. Because I cut all this horizontally, I brought everything straight out. It still matches up underneath here. So if you look at it like that, see, it's horizontal. So even though I cut it like this, horizontally out, I stayed consistent with each section I pulled out. So even if you bring it out vertically, you can see the consistency in there. So same thing, I'm just going to bring this back into that section. And I'm going to follow the head shape down, working. Key thing here is to make sure that you tuck your finger in. If you don't tuck your finger in and you come out like this, then you just get too much length again on the side. So you really want to stay consistent with the head shape here. So we're going to work traveling guide. This section is over top of the last. Same thing here. And I will even go back because I noticed the angle of this. You can see this was really low compared to 90 degrees out from the head. So I just want to lift it a little bit to remove that corner. That'll just soften it later in the style. Same thing here. It's a different part of the head shape, so a little extra elevation. Work our way down the head, following the head shape. And the last bit here, up, and then down, following the head shape. You can see, gives it a fringy look. Again, it's a mannequin. We'll cut into it and style it in a bit, but you can really just get the idea what we're going for. Bridget, it's freesaloneducation.com, just so you know. Just so if you go to fse.com, it's a weird place. I don't know whose website that is, but it's not ours. I am from Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia. All right. Same thing, working diagonal forward. Bring everything back to me. And there's my guide. Now, the biggest change that happened here, make sure that's focused. Yep. Biggest thing that happened here is now my finger's pointing down. Number one rule, wherever you're cutting, if I'm cutting this way, then my thumb is, my hand is weird at that point. All right, here. If I'm cutting on this side, my thumb's going the way that I'm cutting. If I'm cutting on this side, my thumb is pointed in the direction I'm going. You always want to make sure your thumb is pointed in that direction. What that's going to do has really nothing to do with your thumb. That's not the important part. The important part is how you're combing. So on this side, I'm combing from the front to the back, so that stays consistent. Then when I go to this side, I'm combing from the front to the back, so it stays consistent. If I were to keep my hand like this, I would want to scoop, and then I'd be pulling the hair from the back to the front, so this side would be completely different. It would have a different result in the end. So I just went off on a tangent there. Let's see if I can find my place. So same thing, make sure you tuck your fingers in towards the round of the head and then work your way up the head shape the opposite direction. Diagonal forward. I always find diagonals a little easier to work with as well, as opposed to vertical, because if I was cutting vertically, I'd have to hold my elbow way up in the air. Diagonal, your elbow gets to drop a little bit, just a little easier to stay consistent. Last couple sections here. Remember that elevation right at the top. I want to make sure that you get it nice and high so you don't have that heaviness at the parietal. Same thing here, finger angle tucked in. Then I raise it up as I work through the side. So here, this is where you can see it, and I'm actually going to lower her a bit, but I want to show you guys. You can see a weight line right here. The reason that weight line is there, but you don't see it as much on this side, is because of my elevation. So because I'm like this, it's harder for elevation. So I want to make sure I lower this down a bit, quit rushing myself through, and get that elevation right. So lower this. So it's really just this little bit, and I can actually cut on top of my finger at this point. So I'm just going to soften it there. That'll start to make it disappear, because the rest of the haircut's correct. It was just this little bit of elevation here. So I want to go in and just diffuse that, following the round. Now some of you guys might be thinking, well, can't you cut it on top of your fingers the whole time? And the answer to that is, it's fine, but then when you get to the bottom of this section, now you're uncomfortable that way. So really, it's kind of a lose-lose. You kind of have to go in either way. Soften there. All right, last little bit. We're going to get a nice higher elevation, and then I'm going to shift my hand. That's cute, isn't that? Put that out on YouTube. Everybody will love it. They're telling me how much they love it. All right. We'll cut into that in a second. Let me see. So I can get a better idea of what's going on, I'm going to blow this dry as well. Awesome, Susan, thank you. Use the blow dryer to really push. It's mannequin hair, so it just pushes it down a bit. Works on human hair too, you just got to be careful, you don't want to burn somebody. All right. Here is the top part of the cut. Now we're going to say that she parts her hair on the side. And we'll say it's the left-hand side. There we go. That's a good question, Jessica. So how do you know when to point cut and when not to point cut? So just think about the results that happen from either one of those things. So if I don't point cut, if I cut blunt, then the edges connect together, and because they connect together, you get a thicker result. So if somebody wants structure or a thicker, more blunt edge, then I would go in and do blunt cutting. If they have very thick hair, dense hair, they're not looking for structure, they're actually looking to break up everything, then I would go in with point cutting, and that would allow me to have more separation in the ends, so the ends wouldn't get as bulky. So it's just really those two things. Do you want to have bulk? Do you want to not? Do you want thin ends or do you want thicker ends? Do you want lines in your cut? Then you would cut blunt. If you want to diffuse the lines, then you would cut with point cutting. So it's a pretty, for the most part, it's pretty simple. It's just really determining the density of the guest and then moving forward from there. Okay. Now we're going to work through this last part. I'm going to go pretty much five sections in, we'd say, and then over direct everything back to kick a little extra length in the front. So here we go. Diagonal, or vertical, not diagonal. Oh. Be very interesting to see when that camera shut off. All right, so we're going to over direct this up, not over direct it, bring it straight out from the head, no over direction, and I want to blend it in with the sides. So we're going to cut it just like this, and I want the points to come to the top. So right over this parting in the center is where I want the point to happen. So there's my guide. And we're going to do point cutting because we want it to be broken up. So we'll go through, point cut this section. There it is. And then I'm going to continue through the top. And I'm going to change my mind in the middle here. And I'm going to over direct everything back because I want to push extra length into the front. So back to the stationary guide now. Let's switch it up. So vertical here, back to me. Stationary guide. So what's happening is this is blending, starting to disconnect as it gets a little further forward, but blending into the back. So that's going to give me a nice seamless feel back here, and then a lot of fun kind of hair to play with at the very front of it. Bring the rest back. Yeah, I think this is a good call. 1 second, guys. Camera battery died. Sorry about that. Paired. There we go. Oh, Barbara, you just wait till the end. I'm going to get you on the end. Or not, or maybe not. We're going to try though. All right. Make sure it's recording. Okay. All right, here we go. Over directing everything back. Then you can see that length that comes forward. We're going to cut into that at the end. So same thing on this side. That stopped. Turn it here so you guys can see. Same thing on this side. Section down. Coming straight out from the head. I'm going to grab a piece from the point of this one, and I'll connect the two spots, just so I know that I'm lining everything up. So now that becomes stationary. Over direct back, point cut down. Same thing here. Who is my hairdresser? My hairdresser, I'm wearing a hat right now. My hairdresser is one of my staff. So we own a salon here, and whoever is available to cut my hair, that's who does it. Usually whoever can do it the fastest, because I'm not good at sitting there. All right, last bit. Okay, we're getting there. It's becoming something. What do you think, Barbara? Are we getting there? Linda, thank you. Appreciate it. Fellow salon owner. All right. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab some product real quick. And we're going to do I'm going to try a couple of these products. I got a Mercado foam, which I always use. So here is that. A little bit of that foam. Mercado mousse. And then to style it, at the very end, I have Joico's matte grip, which I want to try out. I haven't really tried that product yet. They just sent it to me, so excited to try that. We're going to cut this front, just so any of you guys, if any of you guys are worried about that being too long, it is too long. We're going to cut it in a sec. Okay. So we're going to blow dry, same flat wrap technique. Get that foam worked in. The foam's just going to give it a little memory. So you can see it starting to come to life. Thank you. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. And I don't want to really butcher it, so I appreciate the nice comments. All right, we're going to fire up my trusty iron here. This is the Mercado Fiber Straight iron. I'm going to heat it up to 390 degrees. That tends to be a pretty good heat level for me. I don't like to go much hotter than that because it can damage the hair, and that's not what we're going for. So the Dyson dryer I bought because I always like buying new toys to play with, but the I would say it's a lot more look than it is. It's great at performance, so don't get me wrong, but every professional blow dryer is pretty much similar to this one. So I don't know if it's worth paying double for a blow dryer unless you really like the look. So the other things I really like about it is it's easy to clean because all you gotta do is just take this little bit off and clean it. The magnetic attachments were one of my favorite things until they don't stay on that well. You hit it on something and it falls off. So that's not really my favorite part. But other than that, I mean, it's a great blow dryer. I have nothing wrong with it. I use it because it was expensive. So I don't want to just let it sit around. But for the most part, any professional blow dryer is great. The iron's at $3.90 now. Suggesting great shears. If you go to freesaloneducation.com, we sell all these scissors. So the education is free. The scissors are not free, but they're the best scissors. Mizutani is all handmade in Japan. And the way that you know that they're handmade is when you look at them. Actually, let me show you my scissors here. So the way that you know that a scissor is handmade, if you look at all these different handles, all the different grooves on the blade, that's how you know, because a machine can't press all these different grooves and different things. They have to be handmade. So if you look at every scissor has a purpose. This is a dual texture scissor. We'll probably use that in a second, actually. This is the Type Z2. I said it's got the fatter tip. So that fatter tip is great for point cutting and cutting dry hair, cutting precision cutting. It's good for everything. The DB20 is one of my favorites. It has a ball bearing screw. So a lot of scissors can't say that they have that. Puffin has a fatter blade. It's meant for dry cutting only. So this one, if you put it on wet hair, it doesn't really perform very well, but you put it on dry hair, it's smooth as can be. And this is the Blacksmith Fit. This would be like kind of a starter scissor for you. My recommendation is getting this one in a little bit longer, maybe like 6 to 6.5 inch. This one's 6.5. And the reason I say that is because you're probably going to want another scissor later, but you'll have this one forever. So I use this one for scissor over comb work. I just used it. But for my precision cutting, my go-to, if you don't do a lot of scissor over comb and you just want one scissor, this is the Type K. It's around $600, so it's an investment, but this is your career. And the Type K is unbelievable because it's around the $600 mark, super comfortable in your hand. Some of these other ones are more in the $800 range. If you use Matt Beck Vlog, when you're checking out on our website, you get 20% off. So it's another good thing to know. But these scissors are awesome. And I only sell Mizutani on there. I only use Mizutani because I love it. They're really the only handmade scissors left out there. So most scissors are pressed and cost companies $30 to make, and they sell them for $600, and it's just not right to me. So these are top quality scissors. Sorry about that little delay if you were wanting me to finish this cut. Apologize. So again, heat it up. Rebecca, congrats on hair school. Thank you. All right. So here's the other cool thing, guys. And the reason I'm on here live tonight, this is something I want to keep doing as I film these videos. I think you get a lot out of the videos that let's see if I can focus. You get a lot out of the videos that that I produce, I understand that, and they're quicker and all of that. But those of you guys that are hairdressers and you want more length in this, I think it's cool. You're going to be able to see this cut on a vlog, and it'll be 12 minutes long. But there's just something else about being able to ask questions. So that's what the FSC Partner Program is about. That's what we want to do with this channel. That's why we opened this studio. This is not we're building a new salon. This is a huge 4,000 square foot space. This room is dedicated only to doing this live whenever we want. So I enjoy you guys being here, being a part of our YouTube channel, and all of that. So let's finish this thing. All right. So what I'm going to do is just take some diagonal partings across here. I actually want to see real quick if I have thermal protectant. Not that this lady cares, but hopefully we're teaching that. Finishing spray. Sorry guys, gotta have something here. There we go, hot shapes. All right, so the last little bit, this is a, wow, it's bright. Sorry guys, this part's only important for the video part. So this is Cloud9 Hot Shapes, so just a thermal protectant. I'm actually gonna, it's a pump spray. Now this is one thing that I never thought about using a pump spray before I iron, but here's the thing. If you put it in the hair, comb it through, hit it with a blow dryer for 2 seconds, the thing I like about a wet thermal spray is that wet is gonna penetrate the cuticle more. So being able to get a little more added protection. And let me brighten it up again. So it just gives you a little more added protection. I mean, doing an aerosol spray over the hair is great, nothing wrong with it, but anytime you can hit it with a wet product, you're just gonna get more saturation in there. So I brush that through the hair. Okay, now we'll finish this up. Another little trick is if you iron everything in one direction, then when you go to comb it back, it'll actually give you a nice little kick and flip. So those of you guys that are either in school or maybe don't do hair, but are watching this, it's a good little trick. So ironing everything to the opposite side that they're going to wear it. Again, this front is really long, so I'm going to cut into that, but I wanted to get it polished a bit first, and then we'll be good. Now I'm going to use the type dual texture scissor, which is this guy here that we talked about. And what I'm going to do is just go in and remove some of this length. So just chopping through it, which breaks it up. So it doesn't give you a blunt edge. You could do slide cutting with a scissor as well, but you don't get as broken of a finish when you do that. So just working that scissor through. You can see it starts to chop it up just a little bit. Zoom in. So same thing here. So comb everything over to this side. If I comb everything over to the opposite side and I start cutting into it, then it'll be longer on the opposite side. So it's just like over directing the hair. So bring it over here. I want to get everything cut at this length. There we go. You start to see it coming to life. Now, this is the thing with cutting hair. Like, a lot of people would automatically, your mind starts checking out after the wet cut. If you're like, oh, it's not looking exactly the way I want it to. Well, it's not supposed to. You haven't finished the cut yet. And if they let you walk out without finishing that cut, then you're just going to look like that. So good haircut has to be done dry as well. So I'm going to work my way through this cut until I get all the detail work in. It's like putting in the finishing touches on your work. So same thing here, but now I'm going to do a deep point cut with the texture scissor through it. And this will just break up some of that top. And that's why also you shouldn't be doing this to yourself. Like, there's no way to be able to put in all these little details and see all this stuff. You can do sometimes a okay job of just trying to create a straight line, but there's a lot of detail work that goes into getting a great haircut. So there is no reason to be trying to do this yourself. So just pinching, sliding through. You can see how easy that scissor glides on there. The reason that happens is you can see behind it, there's no blade. So both sides are texture. So when I cut down on the hair, it just slides right out because there's no blade blocking it. So as soon as you cut down on it, it just glides out of the hair, cuts it. So it's a pretty cool tool. Last little bit, a little more point cutting with that. All right, I'm going to get those loose hairs out. And then this product, I don't even know if I've opened it yet. I'm going to give it a shot. Excited to see what it's like. This is the Joico Matte Grip. Oh, I did open it. Definitely a creamy feel. It smells delicious. Any of you guys used this before? How much would you charge for this cut in a salon? I would charge a women's cut, so wherever you're at, you know, pricing is based on your area. I live in an area where things are a little more expensive, so average haircut here is $80. So that's what our haircuts are at the salon. So a little bit in my hand. Now what I'm going to do is work it through the back part, just to kind of get some product in there. And then I'll work it through the front. Now I don't want to do too crazy into the bang area yet. I really want to work these shorter pieces. This stuff gets nice and firm. It's good. Sometimes when I get too much product in the hair, not too much, but if it's a stickier product, I like to break it up just a little bit. Then when I turn it, let's see. Man, that gets super sticky. Wow. They weren't kidding about the grip part, that's for sure. So you can see that volume starting to happen in there. The texture is cool. I'm actually going to use a little bit more of this. Really just to wet my hands down a bit. I think the key with this product is that you don't need to put, run it through your hands too much. Because the more you run it through your hands, the firmer it starts to get. I dig it though. Now I'm gonna just want to kick these ends out a little bit. Never heard of an $80 haircut. Well, the haircut's not what makes it $80. I'm sure somebody's charging less than $80 for this cut. But it's all based on your area and what you can get for a haircut and cost of living, because you can't get a house cheaper than $500,000, $600,000 here that doesn't need fixed up. So it's all based on your area. Little hairspray. This is a Mercado hairspray as well. Digging this cut. You guys like it? That does include, yes, Jessica, that does include wash, massage at the shampoo bowl, car wash. It includes everything. All right. So we've managed, I think, to take this mannequin and make it look pretty awesome. So here's the deal. We left the back fringier, which I really dig. I like these longer pieces back there, but you don't have to do that. You know, you could definitely get by without doing that. Tighten it up a little bit if you want. But I like it being a little bit longer. I like this expansion here without it being too thick in there. Gives her, the head shape looks really nice in that angle. And then the front fringe is just cool. It gives it that modern flair. You could shorten that up a bit if you wanted to. But it's definitely cool. So, what do you guys think? You like it? Most importantly, did you like being live on here as a class? Love the cut. Where's Barbara? I want to make sure Barbara likes it. Sweet. Thank you guys. Thank you. Now we can only hope that the camera recorded enough for tomorrow. Yes, all right, cool. See if, there we go. Being live is always more fun. I agree, it was fun. Cool, so I think that's pretty much it, guys. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this live class. Now, here's a couple things. Go to fsepartner.com or fseondemand.com, whichever one you can remember. They go to the same place. Sign up for our program because we do these live classes that are actually scheduled in, and we do them live from the website. But also, we have a morning Q&A tomorrow. I believe it's 10 a.m. Eastern time. So it's just a Q&A with me, so we can ask questions. We'll do some chatting. That's live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And then also we have a ton of classes that we've already done on there that you can watch and kind of see as well. So do that. Go to fseondemand.com, sign up. It's free, and you can be part of our classes live definitely once a month, if not just being a part of our YouTube channel as well, but just so you don't not catch them. I'm also going to be launching right now the video that I did yesterday, so you guys can see that. So I hope you like it. All right, cool. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys on the next class.